Language is a real wonder. How we humans have the billions of us and thousands of languages have engineered so many ways to communicate with one another. At the moment, there are 7,117 languages, each unique. Of these, only 150 to 200 are spoken by more than 1 million speakers, with 90 of the 7,117 having less than 10,000 speakers. It really is a wonder. Language, how all the ways we've made it, whether we are considering the very sounds we make, the letters we write, or the complex grammar systems that we have created and imposed upon ourselves. Language is such a complicated yet ever important figure in our life, and I feel that most people simply ignore its complexity or do not think of it beyond is necessary for them. Yet this complexity might intrigue you as it intrigues me. That's right, you clicked on this video. Hi, I'm Andres, and in this video series, I'm going to go through some of the various parts of language, be it phonetics, etymology, how it forms. So, in this video, we're going to go over phonetics. After all, where better to start than the very sounds we make for language? So, what exactly is phonetics? Phonetics is the branch of linguistics which is involved with the physical creation and reception of sound. Etymolo- Etymologically, the word phonetics comes from the ancient Greek word phone, which means sound, speech, and several other words associated with it, such as language. A few things to note with phonetics is that it is based upon not the meaning of a sound, but the creation, transmission, and receiving of it. The sound itself, not what we use it for. It also applies to every language, not just one. Now, the main organs involved with speech are as follows: the teeth, lips, palate, tongue, uvula, and vocal cords. Oh, and the oral and nasal cavities. A way to remember these that I came up with is 2 cult VPN. That's right. T for teeth, O for oral cavities, C for cords as in vocal cords, U for uvula, L for lips, T for tongue, V for vocal cords again, P for palate, and N for nasal cavities. Now, I'll get into the sounds themselves in a moment. So here are the different types of phonetics. There are articulatory phonetics, which are based upon the movements and the of the vocal organs, such as in the mouth, that produce the various sounds, which are then characterized in various ways, such as trills or stops. We'll get into those in a moment. Then there are acoustic phonetics, which are concerned with the properties of speech sounds, such as amplitude and frequency. Most speech sounds in acoustic phonetics are characterized by those who have regular fluctuations in air pressure and those that do not. In short, the ones that are voiced, as in the vocal cords, are together and vibrate as air passes through, and those that are unvoiced, as in air passes through unobstructed, you can tell if it's voiced on your own by simply putting your hand on your throat and feeling whether your neck vibrates or not on a certain sound. Unvoiced, unvoiced, ah, voiced. Now, then there are linguistic phonetics, which are concerned with describing phonetics when it comes to languages, such as how in certain situations the way you say something changes from grammar. An example of this would be when in English a person asks a question, the pitch of their voice increases over the course of the question. Now, let me cover the way we make the certain sounds we do, starting with consonants. do a little flip. Now, consonants are formed when the airstream through the tract is obstructed in some way. This generally is due to two speech organs making contact with one another to affect the airstream, with the point where that is being the point of articulation. The manner of articulation is the way that the contact is formed and then released. So, let's get into seven consonant classifications with the point of articulation. Bilabial sounds are when they are made with two lips, such as b, m, and p in English. Labiodentals are when the sound is made with upper teeth. That's good space for my face. Okay. Labiodentals are when the sound is made with the upper teeth and lower lip, like in v in English. Interdental are when the are with the tongue in between the upper and lower teeth, such as the two v in sounds in English. Alveolar are sounds with the tongue at or near the ridge, alveolar ridge, right behind the upper front teeth, like the English s and the. Post-alveolar is with the tongue right behind the alveolar ridge, such as with the ya, zh, like measure sound English, and sh in English. Palatal are when the tongue is at the hard palate or roof of the mouth, such as with the yeah sound in yes. Oh, the J in post-alveolar. That should be a J sound. My bad. Now, velars are with the tongue at the velum or soft palate, such as g and k in English. Glottals, I feel like these sounds sound like I'm making them up. Glottals are the obstruction at the glottis or space between the vocal folds, such as the sounds huh or the glottal stop sound, as in like oh, like that. Now, there are different ways to classify consonants based on the manner of articulation. Plosives or stops. These are when ma These are made when the airstream is obstructed and released from the lungs. These are generally like harder sounding sounds such as p, g, p, t, k, d. Fricatives. These are made when two articulators are close but do not touch, forming a small gap. Since airflow is slightly obstructed, the gap makes a audible friction. I sound in f, v, sh, z, and th. Last fricative sounds. These sounds come from plosive and fricative sounds coming in rapid succession. This occurs such as with the th sounding in English, would also with the sound j in English, which results from the and j. And of course, ch is t, ch. Then nasal sounds. These are made when the air moves from the nasal cavity instead of through the mouth. In English, nasal sounds include n, ng. The last sound being in words such as canyon or being. Approximates. Approximates. These are made when there is partial obstruction within the mouth of the airstream, meaning that some sound goes out the nasal cavity as well as the mouth. This is shown in English by l, r, w, and j. Well, yet. Yeah. I was right earlier with the others, I think, in the yeah sound and yet. Approximates are rather a merging of two other categories, liquids and glides. Yet for this video, I am certainly mentioning their merge. Mhm. Okay, I missed one. But trills and flaps. Trills are made, oh, I know why. Clicks. These are created by moving air in the mouth between various articulators. This would be shown with the sound in English people make when they're disappointed, like, which is actually a consonant in Zulu and other Southern African languages. As for another one that I did not put up here, trills and flaps. Trills are made by rapidly vibrating against an articulator, while flaps are created by a flick of the tongue against the alveolar ridge. These are not in English, but two sounds that are often taught with this are r, like a rolled R for the trill, and then r, like a flap, like ra, ra, ra. Now, then there are vowels. In order for a sound to be considered a vowel, the sounds must be voiced. The vocal cords are together and vibrate while air is passing through. The nucleus of the syllable is at the peak, central sound of the syllable, and it must be produced with an unobstructed vocal tract, so it must not be an obstructed sound. Vowels themselves are characterized, oops, vowels themselves are characterized upon how high or low the tongue is, whether the lips are rounded or not, or whether the tongue is at the back or front of the mouth. Here are 20 vowel sounds that are in English. All right. Now, in English, yeah, there's more vowels. In English, the rounded vowels are made by rounding the lips, and all the rounded vowels are back vowels. Uh, uh, I don't remember all the exact signs. Now, other features of vowels include diphthongs, which are a sequence of two vowel sounds, as opposed to single vowel sounds known as monophthongs. Certain languages, such as Latvian, are more rich in said sounds than others, such as Russian. In English, there are three: I, ow, a. And there is nasalization. Vowels can also be made with a lowered velum, which the uvula is attached to, which allows the air to instead move through the nose, not news. In English, vowels are made nasalized before nasal sounds, such as with the words bingo or bean. There are also tense or lax vowels, which are their own things. Tense vowels are made with greater tension in the tongue. These can occur at the end of words like seat, made, shoot, moat, ha, hi, how. Lax vowels are made with less tension in the tongue, and these cannot be made at the end of a word, like bit, bet, soot, bore, soy, hat, nut, Tina. Yeah, seriously, Tina, you're talking soy. That's a very failed joke. I apologize. Now, one thing that is interesting is that R might be a vowel. Well, another point to note with vowels is that they are not always treated as such as with the R sound in most English dialects. It may be by some accounts considered one phonetically, but it is not treated so grammatically, and so it is ignored. See, red, it has eh as the important like syllable, like important part of the syllable. Then there are prosodic features in language, also known as supersegmentals. These sense features such as stress, pitch, and length are features above segmental features such as manner and pitch, place, not pitch, place of articulation. Under these features, in some languages, length of the phoneme being used is used to contrast meaning. This is shown in Latin with vowels because casas is a short vowel and means goats, but casas is slightly longer and it means wedding or in Japanese when the lengths of consonants also matter. Sake versus sake. I probably just slaughtered that. I'm apologizing again. Then, certain languages use pitch to various degrees. In some languages, they are not necessarily used for comprehension of a word, such as English or Spanish. In some, they are used for comprehension, but not of utmost importance, such as with Latvian and Serbo-Croatian. Or as such, as with tone languages, pitch is really important to contrast several words, such as in Mandarin and Thai. And an example of pitch's importance is present in the Latvian word for medicine, as well as grasses. It's the same word, but it also has the same spelling as the word for concert halls. When one is meaning medicine, zales, it has a steady tone. Zales, the same sounds, but it goes down in pitch. That means concert halls. And sad language, man. Now, in Latin, change is only present in long vowels, however, and it's many diphthongs as well as mixed diphthongs, so it's not as crucial. Another important part of prosodic features is stress. Stress syllables are louder compared to other ones in a word and are slightly higher in pitch, such along with being somewhat longer than unstressed syllables of a word. For example, the digest word digest as a verb in English is stressed on the second syllable, while as a noun it is stressed on the first syllable. Digest. So digest is the verb, digest is the noun. It's really cool. I don't get why English has that. Um, English is a stress timed language, so at least one syllable is stressed in an English word. Yet not every language has the same system of stressing syllables. Latvian, again, I mentioned that because I'm half Latvian. It's something that's familiar to me. Latvian has it that stress is almost always on the first syllable, which is likely from Livonian due to language compaction. I'll get into that in the future again in another episode. But there's, of course, a few exceptions to that. And Latvian's not the only one that's just on the first syllable. I know that Swedish, I believe, and Estonian have it on the first syllable. And it's special that Latvian has that because the language family traditionally doesn't have that in that area, like that language group. Languages having different stress system is one of the contributors to realizing that one person might have a foreign accent because they'll put the stress on different syllables in a word. It sometimes sounds funny, and you'll realize, oh wait, they're not traditionally native speaker of my language. Now, a random point associated with phonetics, the sounds that people make are phonemes. The amount a person knows is generally limited after a young age. This is due to the fact that as a baby, you specialize in the language or languages that you learn, and afterwards lose the ability to create phonemes that are foreign to you. It is possible to learn new ones, yet that is very difficult and likely comes with an accent. Another random or helpful point associated is International Phonetic Alphabet. Their IPA in the corner. Um, which was made in order to have a one-to-one correspondence to a sound in a language and to a symbol. If one could make the sound and knows what the sign means, they would be able to pronounce it correctly in the word every time. It reads, it sounds as it reads. It was primarily based upon the Latin alphabet, and it is helpful though, as when it comes to languages such as English, in which there may be many sounds that apply to a letter, or even no sound to said letter, like the beat in lamb. Orthography. Um, orthography, the spelling of language does not consistently represent the sounds in language. So that's why this is helpful for some people. Well, like characterizing sounds at least. So, conveniently, orthography is to be the topic of the next episode. Today we covered the sounds of language. Next time we're covering the writing of it. Until next time.